Coming up, why you should say no to the next promotion. And then CEO of Bethel Tech, Brian Collins, joins me to talk about how corporate America is disrupting colleges in America. Let's go. Helping you win in your work life so that you can win in the rest of your life. This is the Ken Coleman Show. I'm Ken. All right, let's talk about this. Some of you are considering a promotion right now. Some of you are hoping for a promotion. And I think that a lot of you need to be saying no to the next time you're offered a promotion. What? How is that possible? Because a lot of the times, the promotions you're being offered are not a good fit. It's that simple. It's just not a good fit. And yet you take it. And I would submit to you that taking a promotion that isn't a good fit will end up putting you behind. So why do we take promotions that we shouldn't take? This is the question. The reason is there is intense pressure that we put on ourselves. And let's be honest, there's just intense relational pressure, cultural pressure. 3 types of pressure coming your way. And the pressure is you got to move up. Got to move up. Got to be successful. And again, I want everybody to be successful. That's what this entire show is about, is you being the best version of you to make a difference in the world. That's what I define as success, making that unique contribution that only you can make. But because of this pressure, the pressure from culture, be successful, go, 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 get into a good college, get a good job, all these things. It's there. And then that creates personal pressure. And then there's pressure of our family members and friends that it may not be overt in a intense way, but it's there. And so that pressure makes us say yes to any promotion without thinking it through. In fact, we think we're thinking it through, but this is what the thought process goes like. Oh, I'm excited. Hey, they like me. They want to promote me. And we think about that for a good while. Oh, yeah. And by the way, it does feel good, should feel good. And then we start, after we think a little bit about, boy, this feels good. I deserve it. They think I deserve it. I am worthy, right? It's great. Then we start thinking about, that title's going to sound good. Can't wait to see those new business cards. Oh, I love it. At next month's Mixer, I got a new card with a new title. Very cool. And we start thinking about that. And then we start thinking about the bigger paycheck. Ooh, that's nice. I like that paycheck. I'm going to be able to buy this car. I'm going to be able to go on this vacation. And how about my clothes, my shoes, whatever. So that's the thought process. But we don't actually think about it. We don't think about it. Well, is this something I want to do? Is this the best fit for me? No, we don't do that. Societal standards, societal pressure tells us it is nonsensical, it is idiotic to turn any of those things down I just walked through. Why would you walk away from that? But that promotion is not all glitter and gold, folks. Now, I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember. I never know who's listening. Now, Joe gets this one. I don't know if Alex gets this, but do you get this one? Okay. So, one of the news items of my life was when O.J. Simpson was accused of murder. And I'll never forget it. It was summer. And I want to say it was 1993, so it's early 90s. 93, 94. Actually, it was 94. 1994. Wow, it's all coming back to me, Joe. I can't believe my old brain is working. And I was on a date. And we came back from the date. And we're sitting in the living room of this girl's house with her mom and dad talking. And the NBA Finals was on. And that's when the white Bronco chase happened. For those of you not old enough, this was unbelievable. All right, so anyway, all that said, it was the trial of the century. And One of the most famous lines in the trial was when Johnny Cochran had O.J. put on a glove that was a piece of evidence, and the defense was essentially trying to prove that this was not O.J. Simpson's glove because it didn't fit. And he dramatically had O.J. stand up in court. And you got to be able to pull this up on YouTube. But he puts the glove on, and, the whole struggle and whether or not he's acting or not, I'm not taking a position. But essentially, it appeared as though the glove was too small. And Johnny Cochran looked at the jury and said, if the glove does not fit, you must acquit. And so it was unbelievable. It was a beautiful line. It was just like everybody was talking about. And so if the role does not fit, you must say no. You got to say no. You got to say, I'm passing. Now, all promotions look good and feel good on the surface, as I said earlier. They all do. All the promotions look good and feel good. But how do you evaluate that this promotion is something that is good for you, that you should say yes to? First, you got to look at, does it allow me to use my talent most of the day? The things that I'm good at, is a large portion of this role utilizing what I do best. Second, does it allow me to do work that I really, really enjoy? This is passion. Third, does the role allow me to contribute results, produce results that I care deeply about? It needs to have pretty good marks on all three of those questions. If it is a next step on the ladder, it doesn't have to have as much of that, but it needs to have a good chunk of it, and it absolutely must be the next step on the ladder. So it positions you. Then let's look at culture. Do your values align with this company? You don't want to take a promotion for something and get in there and go, oh, I'm just not in the right place. These aren't my people. There's a values question. Do you want to be in this environment long term? You got to check that out. Next, what about the team itself? Can you do your homework in the interview? You should. Remember, the interview is just as much for you as it is for anybody else. And you need to figure out, what is this team like? The people are going to be working with. What is the leader? Ask questions in the interview to get an idea what the culture of the actual team is. Do you fit in with that? You're going to spend a lot of time with these people. And so you got to make sure that you know that you can hang out with these people. Now, why does this matter? Why does this matter so much? Millions of Americans changed jobs during the Great Resignation. Millions of people changed jobs. We saw crazy numbers, and I reported them on the show. Why did they do it? Because they didn't know how to say no. They didn't know how to say no because they just thought they had to say yes. They went for a better title, leveraging the economic climate to make more money. And then we saw an interesting piece of data pop out of all this. It was then called the Great Regret. Millions of Americans who took a promotion, got to the new place, and realized it wasn't everything they thought it was going to be. In many cases, they had been lied to. But regardless, they were responsible. The role they took was not the role that they thought it was going to be. And why? Because they didn't take time to evaluate each opportunity to see if it was right for them. And I don't want you to make a significant change all because it looks good and feels good. I want you to make a change in your work, take that promotion, because it is good. And what I mean, like, catch this. It's good because it gets you on the next rung of the ladder that you need to be climbing, or it's good because it puts you in your sweet spot where you're using what you do best to do what you love to produce results that matter. That is what I mean by good. It can't just look good and feel good because of the title and the money, or else that look good, feel good will end up being a really bad decision and you'll regret it. And now you have to make more change, disrupt your life even more because you didn't have the maturity to make sure that the next promotion was an actual good fit. Make sure You're doing your homework, asking the deep questions. Don't just let emotion dictate that you take the next promotion. Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Thrilled to have you with us. All right. Very excited. I recently had the CEO of Bethel Tech, Ryan Collins, in to talk about something that I am very passionate about, and that is how college and universities are being disrupted in our culture right now, and also what are corporate leaders, the corporate America entity as it relates to getting more people, they're trying to recruit people. What are they doing to train people to actually change the way that the system is training new workers? We get into that. You're going to love it. Here is my conversation with Ryan. All right, Ryan, let's talk about disruption of higher education. You and I have spent a lot of time off the air, a lot of time together. We're both equally passionate about it. In fact, we get really fired up when we're hanging out talking about this. But let's just talk really high level. And I'm going to throw this to you because I've got thoughts too. When you and I talk about higher education needs to be stinking disrupted, and then we get all fired up. What do we mean? What do we mean when we say that?
Yeah, well, I think that the traditional model is out of date. It's
Right.
not working for the modern student.
41% of Gen Z,
Yeah.
Ryan, new poll, 41% say it's not worth it.
Yeah.
They're pulling that from somewhere where they're getting that impression.
Yeah.
They're paying attention.
Yeah.
So this isn't just two old dudes.
Yeah.
All right, you're not even old. I'm technically old. But compared to Gen Z, we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think when Gen Z is saying that, then that you got a problem. And, we've seen it that the traditional model hasn't actually fit the needs of the non-traditional learner. So the working adult that had to put college on hold.
Right.
And, colleges will typically say, you need to drop everything in your life to meet us where we're at. And that doesn't work. In fact, there's over 40 million individuals in the U.S. alone who have some college credit and no degree. That's a waste of time and waste of money. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
So they're looking for non-traditional options. They're looking for online modality. They're looking for accelerated learning programs like Bethel School of Technology, things that are immediately applicable that don't even require a degree,
Right.
so that they can go and get a job and change
So
their life.
is this an area where we could disrupt for this moment, this conversation? You and I are co-education secretaries, and we've given broad-based powers. This is fantasy land, let's be honest. But we're going to get practical in this. So I heard you say something and it made me think. So if you're going to get a technology degree or a computer science degree, how many, because you know this better than I do, how many hours, total hours, are you going to have to take just to get that degree versus a Bethel Tech program?
You're talking 120 credit hours for a 4-year computer science degree.
120 credit hours when it can be done in how many hours?
You could talk, 15 to 36 weeks.
15 to 36
Yeah.
weeks.
So, that would be.
Is that an hour per week?
Yeah, that's 20 hours per week.
Okay.
But it's you're getting it in, you're getting in, you're getting out.
Okay, so it's not so much the less hours; it's just you're getting it done a lot faster.
A lot faster, and again, you can do it on your own time. You can do it and still have your job, still work that job that's actually paying the bills.
Right.
And oftentimes, most companies in the U.S. will help you go back to school, which is a great perk that you need to be taking advantage of. But you don't have to drop everything and spend 5 to 8 hours a day in a campus environment.
Right.
Do it online.
Completely immersed.
Yeah.
So that's one disruption.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the finance piece.
Yeah.
You've been in the business of education, and that's what I love about you. Business and education, been on both sides, kind of combining it. What do we do to disrupt this issue of the tuition costs when we see that from 2010 to 2022, college tuition rose each year at a rate of 12%.
Yeah, it's
per year.
Yeah. I think it's at least doubled the rate of inflation, if not tripled the rate of inflation.
Well, inflation during that same period was 2.5%.
Yeah.
So, hello.
Yeah. And then the ROI, you look at all the different studies, and, students are seeing and employers are seeing that the ROI is going down. They're not getting ready to work graduates.
Right.
And so they're looking for alternative solutions. So there's an open door. Whenever there is a deficiency, that is an opportunity to disrupt. And so you have programs like Bethel Tech, and you have other accelerated learning programs. You have micro-credential certificate programs that don't require you to spend 4 years learning things that you don't even need for the workplace. We're saying get in, learn what you need, immediately applicable skills, and then get a job. And so companies are looking at that, and universities have to adapt. They have to iterate, and the ones that don't will be left in the dust. And you're
So
starting
what
to
will
see
that
now.
look like?
Well,
take a traditional degree and then say, what is going to have to change?
yeah, well, it has to be more applicable. They have to engage employers. They have to sit at the table with employers and say, we think we know what we need, but is this what you need?
Ah, that's good.
And if not, then you need to adjust.
Right.
You need to adjust with that. If you're here in Nashville, you need to know what a local employer needs so that your students that are here can go straight from here to that company, and they're not going to have to retrain them. They shouldn't have to do that. That's why the higher education model exists, is to actually create that training mechanism so that companies don't have to do it. But companies are seeing over and over that they're not getting ready to work graduates. And so that is a perfect recipe for disruption.
That's right, because what's going to happen is corporations are going to go, we're going to create our own model.
Yeah.
Google's doing it.
Yeah, Google's doing it. I mean, it's interesting. Companies are starting to work with innovative universities and higher education institutions to say, would you build something like this with us? And if you will, here's the awesome thing. We will actually fund employees to go through this program entirely.
Okay, so tell me, that's awesome. So tell me what that looks like.
Yeah.
So you've got the corporation and you've got an innovative university and they're sitting in the room together.
Yeah.
Tell us what's happening.
Yeah.
What are they developing? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, so just as an employee education benefit, you'll see a lot of companies that will provide $5,250 a year in tuition reimbursement for their employees to go back to school. That's the tax exemption threshold for them to be able to offer that perk.
Okay, gotcha.
But almost 10 years ago, the former CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, and the president of Arizona State University, Dr. Crow, sat at a Starbucks and just on the back of the napkin basically built a corporate education partnership model in which at the end of their conversation basically mapped out how baristas at Starbucks, any employee at Starbucks who wanted to go back and get their degree could through the 80 plus at that time online degree programs at Arizona State. That rewrote everything. Then you started seeing other corporations and other institutions starting to do the same. Even to the point now, and Arizona State, I will say, is leading the charge in this. They're a highly innovative public university. They've got a partnership with Uber. So if you're an Uber driver out there, they've got a partnership where if you've done 2,000 rides, you can go to Arizona State University completely free. And now they have over 120 online.
Wow.
And you can actually provide that. You can offer that to your spouse and your children and your parents too, if they want to take advantage of that. This is what it looks like.
So it's a true friends and family thing.
It is.
If you've
And
got 2,000 hours as an Uber driver, you and your entire family.
Yeah.
First connection. I mean, what do I say? First generation, or is it like cousins? Uncle Larry?
Yeah, they have. I think it's parents, siblings,
Which is amazing.
Yeah, spouse and kids. Look, I'm here. I'm the founder and CEO of Bethel School of Technology.
Right.
I think we are the best tech program for the world.
Right.
But I want to let people know that there are opportunities out there to fund your education, whether it's through Bethel Tech or not, that will meet you where you're at, and that you can get it completely free. So you don't have to feed into the $1.9 trillion consumer debt that we have
it's unbelievable.
For student loans, which is the number one consuber debt.
How is Arizona State paying for that? Is Uber? What's that look like?
So they've been really strategic in how they model that. So and I don't know all the mechanics of the Uber program. I do know with Starbucks. So they started it with Starbucks. So Starbucks, I don't think you can do it for friends and family, but you can go back to school for free.
Right.
If you're a barista
Does
at a local Starbucks,
pay for it essentially?
Yeah. So what they do, Arizona State discounts their online tuition price per credit.
Okay.
And then they require everyone to go through to apply for the FAFSA.
Gotcha.
Financial aid. So with FAFSA, they're student loans, but what they're looking for is Pell Grants. So they're thinking if you are need based and if you're working, you know there's a good opportunity if your income meets a certain threshold, or is at a certain spot, that you can get Pell Grants and different things like that. So they'll basically factor all those things in to lower your cost. And then what I imagine is that what Starbucks has done on average has gotten it to where their tuition reimbursement model or tuition assistance model on average per employee is in that 5250 threshold. So they can write that off as a tax exemption.
Right. So between Pell Grants
but scholarships.
But no student loans.
No student loans.
Okay, great.
No student loans.
Okay.
This is what it looks
for
like.
the actual employee, they're not paying anything. And then Starbucks is up to that 5250, which this is another thing. We ought to see Congress raise that. We ought to see Congress raise that threshold, yes?
Well, I agree. Because you have other incredible companies like Verizon. Verizon, you can go to your local Verizon corporate retail store to get your new phone, and they give those sales reps $8,500 a year up front to go back to school.
Wow.
That's not even reimbursement. That is, you submit your classes up front, and you don't even have to worry about funding it up front and getting paid back.
Wow.
And Signet Healthcare, I actually, in another company that I helped start, we built an incredible program with Signet Healthcare to help in their tuition reimbursement model, which is one of the best. I mean, you can see it across the board. Companies are stepping up. They're doing it because, one, for every dollar that they spend on tuition reimbursement, they get $3 back in terms of employee retention.
Wow.
So they're being strategic.
Yeah, this is a great benefit.
Yeah. And then it also shows initiative from the employee.
Right.
And it shows that it feeds into their career progression model.
Right.
So you're sitting across the table from your manager and saying, I want to get into leadership role. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm going. Here's what I'm learning.
Right.
That shows incredible initiative. And you don't have to do that funding it all out of your own pocket.
Wow.
So that's wonderful.
All right, hope you enjoyed that with Ryan Collins. We have more of this fascinating and equipping conversation coming up. This is the Ken Coleman Show. More and more and more, we are seeing that no degree is required. Very excited that I had Ryan Collins, who's the CEO of Bethel Tech, one of my partners here on the Ken Coleman Show, stop in and we talk about this, how that is changing the landscape of work with the degree requirement going away. And even more exciting, how there are so many more high-paying jobs coming along with the fact that there's no degree required. Let's jump right back into this conversation with Ryan Collins, Bethel Tech CEO. You're looking at the landscape. What are some other industries like tech that can absolutely move forward and already seeing people moving to qualify people without a true college degree?
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, tech.
Right.
But we're looking at welding, plumbing. If you're a plumber,
Right.
I mean, you're making bank.
Yeah.
You know, and there's such a shortage as well.
Right.
You know, even medical billing and coding. I mean, you could just Google in best jobs that don't require a degree.
Right.
And you'll see that list grow and grow as more companies are realizing that they can't really wait on the university system to
Right.
pump out these graduates who they're going to have to spend the next 9 months training the way.
I'll tell you one that I've been diving into because my son's interested in it. We've talked a lot about it. I went down to Georgia and we saw the Georgia Film Institute and the film industry.
Yes.
It does not require a 4-year degree.
No.
And there are some schools that are allowing kids to be learning during the day
Yeah.
and working the next day as PAs, production assistants.
Yeah.
You know, I think about politics. I went straight into politics. I'm a college dropout because I didn't need that degree. And this was back, in 95, 96.
Yeah.
There could be trade schools, if you will, for training someone in the art of political work. There are specific types of jobs.
Yeah.
I think of the acting. I think of film. I think of
Audio production.
audio and video production.
It's.
I mean, that's the future.
Yeah, it's so crazy, Ken, because what you're sharing. I think I've talked to you about this, but we've actually started a college, Bethel College, and I oversee the college. And so in addition to Bethel School of Technology, we have our Bethel Music College. We just launched an audio production program. It is the best in the world. Like, people come to Bethel to learn how to do audio production. And so we've created a program around that. It's also like worship and stuff like that. But then we have a Conservatory of the Arts. So we have programs at the longest program that we have is an acting program that's 3 years, but we have certificates in screenwriting and filmmaking, things like that. And we connect with industry leaders on creating that pipeline in there. We've even been talking about how do we want to create a farm system in Georgia with the explosion of entertainment that's going on there.
The film is exploding.
Yeah. So I do think that is another one that you need to get your hands dirty, and that doesn't require you being in just learning kind of the philosophical things that come with a university education. You need to get immediately applicable skills, and oftentimes those skills do not require 4-year or even 2-year.
That's exactly right. Let's take something that's a little bit more general, and if you wanted to be a writer, I would never tell someone who wants to be a writer, just in general, writing, to go get a journalism degree.
Yeah.
Because number one, journalism doesn't pay squat.
I'm a journalism major.
I know. But if, let's say with all the skills that a writer has in today's world, marketing, social media, you talk about digital marketing, how digital marketing has become if you're a good writer, I can think of about 5 to 10 amazing paths for you to win professionally.
Yes.
But it's not the old school, I got to get a journalism degree and prove that I'm a writer. And I'm not knocking journalism.
No. The best way to become a good writer is to read.
Exactly.
You learn, you read, you find voices that you really appreciate, whether that's Malcolm Gladwell or whomever, Ken Coleman.
Yeah,
and
I can think of 10 people, I'm not kidding you, in Nashville who should probably start a writing school or like a Bethel Tech. And it's like, here's a program, it's X amount of weeks. And we're going to teach you the ins and the outs of writing, and you're going to get real experience. You don't need to go to a 4-year degree for that.
I'll tell you, I mean, you're absolutely right. And just start writing. There's so many platforms that you can start writing and, just learn your craft and learn your voice. And I remember when I was writing, I used to write the sports articles for American Airlines, their in-flight magazine. And then I wrote for this group, this long-form digital outlet called SB Nation. My editor, he was the editor for I wrote sports articles, Best in American Sports Writing volumes. He would basically aggregate the best sports articles every year. It was a masterclass in learning to write. The fact that he took me under his wing and he held my feet to the flame to make sure I was writing the right way, that was 2 articles that I did with him. That was a total of 6 months. It was incredible. I learned more in that interaction with him than 4 years in a journalism degree at one of the best journalism schools in the country. And I love that school, by the way. But it was like, I could have, this is what I need. So you find apprenticeship. I mean, that basically, I was becoming an apprentice informally.
Sure.
So I do think apprenticeships are another thing, whether that's writing or plumbing or tech jobs. I think that's going back to the old gym kind of, so using a Rocky term, but apprenticeships I do think are the way forward. And you can learn by seeing somebody teach, model, activate. That's actually our whole philosophy in Bethel Tech. You learn, somebody's modeling it to you, and then they activate you to do it. And I think that's the way of the future. And that does not require 4 years and $150,000.
I want those that are watching this to understand what they should do practically based on your advice, to go see what your employer may be willing to offer because of the tax credit that companies get. How do they go about practically talking to their leader and saying, hey, I'd like to get some continuing education. Would you help me? What's that look like? Because I think that's a little nerve-wracking for people. So give them some navigation.
I think it depends on if you're in a career path that you love, then have a conversation with your supervisor on how you can grow.
Okay.
Every supervisor loves to. When my employees come to me and say that, I am quick to honor that because that's the kind of employee that you want. You are falling over yourselves to find somebody who's going to take that type of initiative. And so if let's just say they're a call center representative and they want to get into business analytics or something like that, or maybe they want to get into a tech job. Look at talk to the advisor, make sure that it's a job related degree that will be funded by tuition reimbursement,
Right.
and then go after it. And then if you're looking at making some type of leap in your own company, or maybe there's a company that you love, that you dream of working for, just look and see what jobs are open. I guarantee you, if it's a major company, there are probably thousands of tech jobs. And if that's something that interests you, or you have an inclination toward it, just start doing your research. Start learning about kind of the ins and outs of basic software development. See if that's something that sparks something in you. There are free programs. You can go to YouTube and find free programs on, just getting kind of the basics of software development. And then if you like it, then talk to your employer and find a program like Bethel Tech that you can actually get high touch, high support, and learn the ins and outs, so you can transition into that type of.
And the key here is that we want people to understand that you may get shot down, but if you don't, and they're going, hey, we'd be willing to do this, it's because they want to retain you. They want to move you up. That's why companies are willing to do this.
Well, and
plain and simple.
Let me be frank. If your supervisor shoots you down for your initiative to grow, you may not want to be working there.
Well, 100%. Yeah,
you ain't going anywhere. I'm telling you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So but most employers, they're really looking for those.
Is this something that's easy to discover in the job search process?
Yep.
How would one find that?
Yeah, if you go to Glassdoor, you go to Indeed, all these major job sites, or just type in, you could type in companies with the best tuition reimbursement.
Okay.
And there'll be a list of 50 of there. I mean, I typed them up last night, just doing some research. And, there were a lot of good ones, and there were some that aren't on the list that I know, actually, those are even better, but most companies do. I mean, whether it's Lowe's, whether it's Walmart, whether it's Home Depot, I mean, you're probably already working at these companies.
Right.
Take advantage of it.
Talk to the HR team.
Yes.
That's an actual, you don't have to talk to your direct leader just to snoop around and kind of gauge the situation. But I love that advice. If we're in the job search, let's look at a place that offers tuition reimbursement, because now that this is a company who wants to develop people for the purpose of promoting people.
Yeah, think 2 and 3 steps ahead too. Like, let's say that you're not where you want to be. You need a job. Look for a job, and even if it's a job that you don't necessarily want to be in at that moment, look at a company that will invest in progressing your career within that organization. So you might start at a certain point, but know that could lead to, the dream job that you want, and that company will help you make it happen. This is what it looks like to be a student in the new model of education.
Yeah.
And this is where it needs to go.
It does.
Yeah.
To that end, I want to flip it for a moment. Talk to leaders. So we have some small business people probably listening, watching this, and they're going, okay, this sounds great. This will be a great employee benefit. How do I get started? What would be your advice there?
There's a couple of things. If you're a large company, make it happen. It's not hard. You probably already have an employee education benefit. I would say look at maybe even increasing it, and then work directly. I see companies that will work directly with universities. Maybe they create a network of universities, 10 to 20 universities that you can trust and have the degree programs that are relatable to your organization. If you're a small to medium-sized business owner and you don't have the capacity for an employee education benefit, set aside in your budget every year X amount of dollars for training and development. And so you want to recognize your high potential employees. And as part of your career progression model and seeing where you want them to go, factor in, just say $10,000, $10,000 to $15,000 for maybe 15 to 20 people, and work with them to find programs that are going to help them grow within your organization. So if that's something on the tech side, you don't need to invest $150,000 in a computer science degree. Invest in something like Bethel Tech and say, we will actually connect you directly, and we know that they have the programs that we're looking for. And once you're done, we will transition you into, one of these types of roles. Right. It really is. I mean, gosh, you see it. Liberty Mutual's done this. AT&T has done this. Verizon's done this. Cigna Healthcare has done this. Bank of America. They're all being very strategic about their training and development budget and their employee education benefit.
Yeah, because let's be honest, this leads to higher retention.
Yes.
And that's the game right now.
Yeah.
Companies are scrambling to keep people.
In the tech side, every 30 days that a tech job, a software development job goes that stays open, it's an opportunity cost of over $60,000.
Unbelievable.
So they are wanting the talent.
All right, good stuff there from Ryan Collins at Bethel Tech. Hey, if you're enjoying this content, we would love for you to like the video, like the episode, subscribe, and share. And remember this, we're going to keep you informed so that you are equipped to do the work that you want to do. This is the Ken Coleman Show.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.